and welcome to the Over 40s Fitness Podcast. My name is Tristan Lowe, and today we're going to look at smoking. And now, here's a record, an album vinyl cover from one of my hobbies. I collect records, music, vinyl, as you can see in the background. And this is one of my favourite album covers. I actually bought this myself about 8-9 years ago when I was in Miami, and I kept the little American sticker, the price sticker on it there. And this artist was Chet Baker and the Mariachi Brothers. And if you look at the album cover, it's one of my favourites. It's got these two attractive, glamorous women on it. But look at that, one of them smoking. And of course, you know, between these sort of 30s right up until probably the 90s, people were glamorised in both the movies, in music, in fashion, and certainly advertising that smoking was cool, hip, trendy, and something that made us stand out from the crowd. Well, that may have been the case then, and in some ways it still is the case now. All right, so enough about this. You've seen it, okay? These two women, you never see attractive women in person smoking. They never look like this. If a woman's smoking cigarettes or vaping, they never look like that. Not what I've seen anyhow, and I've been all over the country and around the world. Okay, enough about that. All right, let's look at the issue with smoking cigarettes. We're not talking vaping, we're talking cigarettes at the moment. Now, less and less, because of the smoking ban in many places of work, colleges, universities, workplaces, offices, factories, there's less, and of course public transport, there's less people visibly smoking out in the public. Now, that doesn't mean to say there's less people smoking, because of course the government and manufacturers and businesses and the tobacco industry have found another way to get people hooked on, if not nicotine, then a substance which will eventually one day possibly lead to nicotine, and that's vaping. Hence, we see in town centres, especially in the lower income parts of town centres, we see high streets littered with vaping shops. It used to be charity shops and gambling shops, but as well now it's vaping shops. Very easy business to get into and to set up. So let's get back to cigarettes then. Now, the reason that I've titled today's podcast on smoking is that because smoking isn't hip, it's not cool, it's not trendy, it's the exact opposite, okay? Smoking is 100% bad for our health, all right? We're just talking cigarettes, not other substances. That will come another day. Right, now, I've looked it up, and the average price of a pack of 20 cigarettes, roughly, in the UK is about £12.60. Now, if someone smokes 20 cigarettes a day, if they can get through 20 a day, between 6 in the morning and 11 at night. Yes, believe it or not, some people smoke for breakfast. They consume cigarettes for breakfast, and some people smoke in bed in their own house. All right, so people do smoke from 6 in the morning till 11 at night, and then night shift workers perhaps even more. I don't know, but if it's the average price, I did my research, is £12.60. That means that person's going to spend about £4,500 a year on cigarettes. And that's if they only go through one pack a day. Now, and of course, you know, if they only go through a pack every other day, or they buy a pack of 20 and go through half a pack a day, they're going to spend at least £2.25 to £2.5 grand a year, upwards to £4,500 a year. Now, for £2.5 to £4,500, you could book yourself a holiday into a far off destination and go and travel well, eat well, dress well, and see the world. For £2.5 to £4,500 a year, you could pay off a car, a nice vehicle. All right, so you've got a nice vehicle on your drive, one that is robust, sturdy, reliable. You can drive it, your wife can drive it, husband, friends and family. Okay, everyone can benefit from you having a car, but nobody can benefit apart from the people that sell you cigarettes. Okay, if you smoke. Now, that price as well, you could take on a personal trainer, yeah, of some description, male, female, private, or in a health club, whatever. And if you've got a health issue, and if you smoke, you 100% have got a health issue. You are unhealthy if you smoke cigarettes, whether you smoke one a day or 20 a day, okay? So you could take on a trainer or a therapist or even a hypnotherapist, anyone to help you get off those cigarettes. But of course, the cigarettes are made so addictive that even in the face, even in common sense, that what you're doing is damaging your health. And if someone lives in the same house as you, and you smoke inside the house, you're damaging their health as well. All right, so let's look at why now people still smoke. Only last week I walked through Lincoln Town Centre. It was Saturday evening. I was going home. It would have been, I don't know, 5 or 6 o'clock. And there was one of these high street franchises, these big bars, these kind of pub kind of bars, whatever they're called, a real grotty looking place. And outside was about 20 chairs or whatever, and there was people outside, stood out, smoking outside. All of them smoking or vaping. And as I walked past, I took my time and looked, and I didn't see any women, forget the clothes and the hairstyles, I didn't see any women that look as nice as that, minus the cigarette, okay? I didn't see any strong, fit, athletic, handsome guys smoking. What I saw was the opposite. I saw people that looked like they'd not eaten properly, people that were dressed very badly, people that were grossly overweight, okay, or all of the above. And on top of that, they're smoking or vaping. So what does that tell us then? That there's a distinct possibility that if you smoke cigarettes, your hard-earned money, okay, which is, again, look at it, let's look at the numbers, at £12.60 for a pack of 20, based on one pack a day, best part of £4,500 a year. If you split that over 2 days, 10 cigarettes a day, 2 1/4 is £2.5 a year. That's a lot of money. They're not spending that money on quality food. It is highly unlikely. And there's a physiological reason for that as well, because smoking, as we know, is an appetite suppressant. Smoking is designed to get you hooked on cigarettes and put you off healthy food. Yeah, that's the whole point. It's made by chemical engineers. They have spent hundreds of millions working on a technique, a system of how to actually manufacture cigarettes with the sole purpose of getting you or your children or your loved ones or your friends, family, neighbours hooked on cigarettes, but not hooked on good food, exercise, travelling, eating well. Yep. So let's go cast our mind back as well. What are the benefits of smoking? All right, zero. Zero. There is no way that letting your child or introducing your child or your work colleague to cigarettes is going to benefit anyone. Okay, unless you are the person who sells cigarettes for a living and make a profit, and therefore, granted, yeah, it's commerce, it's capitalism again, of which I always agree with, but the capitalism and the commerce is made on someone else's physiological addiction and therefore the subsequent misery and purgatory that comes with it. I've had relatives in the past that smoked and they all went to an early grave, or what I think is an early grave, most of them. I had one relative who went past the age of 80 who smoked. Okay, so there is actual facts. That's not something I've read about or heard about. Yep. Look at the evidence, right? And if you know someone who smokes cigarettes, yep, it is incumbent upon you as their friend, their family member, their work colleague to try and do everything you can to get them off cigarettes. Yeah, because cigarettes will make you unattractive, physiologically unattractive, all right? That it will get your teeth will fall out. It will make your skin. Our skin is the biggest organ in our body, and smoking will 100% damage your skin. It will affect your eyesight, it will affect your hair, it will give you bad breath, it will ruin your clothes, it will ruin your house as well. So why do people take smoking up? Desperation, okay, easily addicted to addictive substances, peer pressure, okay, or they're introduced to cigarettes at a young age, not by school friends, not by the bad guy on the block or the bad girl on the block, but actually their parents. Okay, there is evidence to show that parents do and have historically introduced their children to smoking by default or by design. By default, because the parents smoking in the house and the children see it, and the children get addicted to the idea of buying cigarettes, unwrapping cigarettes, smoking them, or by design. There are parents out there that have deliberately introduced their children to smoking, and therefore by the time that boy or that girl is 16, 17, or maybe even younger, they're now addicted to smoking, to cigarettes, yeah, and they've got their parents to blame for that. It's not always someone at school or someone in the street. And that goes to show how addictive and damaging cigarettes are. That if someone can actually, by design or by default, get their daughter or their son, nieces, nephews, grandchildren into smoking as well. In the same way that some parents will by design or default, I choose my words carefully there, get their children, introduce their children to junk food, and alcohol. So, let's look at ways we can stop smoking. The first thing is do the math, because the math is sound, and the math is something we can do on a calculator in our head in 5 seconds flat. If you add up the numbers, and that number works out to be £2,500 to £4,500 a year, okay, over 10 years, that's £25,000 to £45,000. That's, I don't know, anything between a third or quarter to a third of someone's mortgage paid off, if not even more if you've got a 1-bedroom flat out of London. And yet there's nothing to show for it. It's something that they physically consume. It's like they're eating or drinking cigarettes. If you took a pack of 20 cigarettes and put them on a tray and piled them up into a pyramid and broke them up for the stubs and the main head of the cigarette as well, and put it on a tray in a pile, or put it in an ashtray and ask someone to eat the actual cigarettes, or ask them to pour it into a glass and try and drink it, they wouldn't do it. And yet that's exactly what they're doing when they're smoking. So give yourself an idea, give yourself something to do, like a physical hobby or a habit, something to take over, to work on actually getting rid of the process of the cigarettes, because we know it's addictive. It's addicted to your brain, your nervous system, your organs. In the meantime, it's actually shutting them down. It's damaging your senses, your sense of sight, hearing, taste, smell, touch. And that is the point of doing it. And it gets your cardiovascular system, your respiratory system, your circulatory system addicted to it, even though it's damaging it on a daily basis. All right. Okay, so I'm going to give you some suggestions for things to do to go towards the long, or if you're lucky, if you're fortunate, short journey to stop smoking. First thing is, do the math, add up the numbers, and think of what you could buy or pay off with the money on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, or 10-yearly basis with that amount of money. What else would you prefer? Okay, if you prefer to be unhealthy and smoke over eating healthy food every day and traveling the world, taking your friends and family out for a meal, out to the movies, working on your house, getting yourself a personal trainer, a physiotherapist, a private dental surgeon, if you prefer cigarettes to all of those things, okay, it's not that you're wrong, it's that the manufacturers, the distributors, and the salespeople who sell the cigarettes, they're right, because they know what they're selling you is going to get you addicted. All right, okay. Next thing you could do, after doing the numbers and do the math, actually look at something that you could physically do to take your mind off it. Take up walking, take up swimming, running, cycling, weightlifting. All right. Go and buy a pass to the movies. I don't know what a pass to the movies costs, £20, £30 a month. All right, and that's about 2 packs of cigarettes. So if you buy a pack of cigarettes even twice a week, cut that down by 50% and go to the movies once a week. Or take your wife out to dinner, or take your husband out to dinner, or your girlfriend, or your boyfriend, or whatever. Take somebody out to dinner. Take someone out to the movies. Go and see a show. I'm not a big fan of the theatre. I went to it this year in London with some friends. I think it was the first time I went, and possibly the last time I'm going to go, but that's for another day. But go to the theatre. Get yourself educated in something other than being addicted to nicotine. All right? I know it's hard, and some people go through a long process of stopping it and then go back to it, all right? And actually, what's interesting, if you smoke and you stop smoking for a day, a week, a month, a year, and you went back to it, I'd like to talk to you. I'd like to listen to your story and find out why you did it and how you got there, all right? And just to see what the consequences and implications of your poor decisions, So to take up cigarettes every day and go and buy a pack or unwrap that pack and smoke every day, that is a bad decision made on a regular basis, and it's not by accident. You're doing that on purpose. All right. Okay, this is a 15-minute podcast, just a discussion, and just remember, people that smoke don't look like that. not nowadays anyhow. There'll be a bloke version of it somewhere. All right, my name's Tristan Lowe, and the podcast is the Over 40s Fitness Podcast with me. I'm a professional personal trainer, a qualified sports massage therapist. I studied anatomy and physiology in 2007, 2008. I played sports for 41 years now. I've looked after my body at the ripe old age of 52, and I'm still looking after it now. Time to drink some water and go to bed to start again tomorrow. All right. Please like, subscribe and share to my podcast. I'd like to hear from you. And until the next time, see you soon.